Hello and welcome to the Billowing Hilltop podcast. I hope you're well, readers. Thanks all of you who've sent in suggestions as to what we may do next when the Age of Worms is complete. We've had a ton of suggestions. Ars Magica, which I think is a bit of a blast from the past, Delta Green, Coriolis, Rivers of London, Monster of the Week, Dungeon Crawl Classics, just loads and loads. We have one suggestion, Savage Tide, which is the adventure path that follows directly on from the Age of Worms, but I think another 5 years of Dungeons & Dragons would be too much for us. Also, friend of the show, Nate, who just said, take a well-earned long rest. Nate, we hear you, and we may take a bit of a break before we do anything new. Anyway, there's plenty more Age of Worms to go, so we better get on. Ratings and reviews always appreciated. Let us push on with episode 252 of the Billowing Hilltop podcast, Mathematics. So now let's just have a look at the situation.
Situation is Paul overreacting.
We've got no Paul
again as usual.
Paul,
yeah. We got to run away.
Paul, before he malfunctioned, we got no Paul readers. Before he malfunctioned, he spat out a little chit of paper with some instructions on it. I'll read them out. It says, I still think we should kill the remaining worm and dwarf, then get outer, I think he means out of, there to rest, heal up, and come back with a plan to counter the breath weapon and legendary saves, brackets. Perhaps it is a limited number overall, and not just a number per turn, close brackets. Dragotha will still have hundreds of hit points left, and we are out of damage dealing resources to be able to last the damage against us.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know what the rest of you think.
Sure, he's right.
Me neither.
I think it's going to be tough, but I think we hold off bugging out until we really need to.
Hang on. Bug out.
Yeah, it's a technical term. It
try
basically,
not to take offence.
I don't know where the name came from, but it's after some guy who was renowned for being really scared.
Oh, it goes
stuff.
back and back, that phrase. Yeah.
It's an ancient word meaning really scared of everything.
Somebody you can't depend upon.
Yeah, completely unreliable. Yeah.
Precisely. It's interesting, readers. We've been thinking about this in the gap between sessions, but
high
level D&D is very weird.
The gap between sessions.
I mean, high level D&D has always been weird.
That's a bit wrong.
That's a bit wrong. That's what happens if you sit with your legs either side of a broom for 4 weeks or however long this adventure's taken. That is also weird. But high level D&D is weird. And I've been looking at some of the maths around this. If you remember that chat that we had, well, I had, but as a collectively we had with Jason Bullman talking about the maths of Pathfinder. The high level D&D has always been an issue, and it's about hit point bloat. Yeah. It's quite interesting to look at how this is all built. I'm not going to give anything away, by the way, about what you're facing. But it is quite interesting to look at how high-level 5th edition effectively uses hit points to keep monsters alive long enough for them to do the cool things that they can do.
Yeah.
Which is not a new concept. But it does mean that the numbers get a bit crazy later on. And then the other factor is how much damage output you lot create. And I don't know why. I'm sure you've got better thoughts than I have, but you don't seem to crank out the amount of damage that the maths of 5th edition think you should crank out.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite right. I think something's not working. I mean, +2 on my saves. I know I keep going on about it, but I'm 19th level, for God's sake.
I think the saves are fine. I think the idea that you have saving throws that you can still fail at high level when you're up against very dangerous opponents is a good thing.
Yeah. I'm not doing that much more damage than I would at 5th level.
Yeah, but I think that's possibly the issue, because you and Scaly are the two fighters. Scaly does quite a lot when he invests his spells.
Yes. Scaly is set up. He's built to do that divine smite damage. But very quickly on the maths, right? So I was looking at a thing that Mike Merles designed. Well, he certainly designed 4th edition. I think he was involved in 5th edition.
I know nothing.
There's a bit of maths that he's shared recently. And effectively, the way it works is you've got challenge rating and you've got party level.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that hit points are calculated, take a challenge rating 24 creature, which is what you should be fighting with a 19th level party of 4.
Mm-hmm.
The budget for hit points at that challenge rating is 500 hit points for a creature. And that is based upon the damage output from a party is meant to be. But it's flawed. He says it's flawed because it stems from this mistaken idea that parties don't use all their resources in one go. They don't go nuclear. Rather, in the challenge rating universe, where they put this mass together, parties take on 3 or 4 encounters in a day and burn through a certain allotted amount of resource, right? Each time.
Right.
And they just don't think that characters are going to go nuclear on a particular threat. But of course, that's not true. And he's done some maths working out how many hit points you actually need against an actual party burning everything they have to try and take something down. And he says that a CR24 creature should have 850 hit points to survive 3 rounds of damage from a party of your level.
That doesn't sound right.
And you're not doing 850 points of damage. He does quite a lot of maths on damage output.
But doesn't it depend on the source of the damage, right? So if you do a fireball and something's resistant to fire and gets a legendary save, that's going to make a mockery of the amount of damage that you're going to be doing, right?
Yeah, the environment is a difficult one. It's not one where we can all run up and bash it. So
I think that's
constrained.
true.
I think our biggest problem is not the damage we do, it's the fact that we miss continuously.
This maths factors in your probability of hitting or the creature failing to save. I think the main thing here is that this assumption is based around you having 1 or 2 tanks, what they would call a striker, so a rogue or something close to that, a heavy hitting artillery spellcaster of some sort, and a cleric. And we've got a cleric and we've got a paladin. Those are the 2 characters that have sort of played through, as it were, undiluted. The other character that's played through undiluted is the bard.
Yeah.
But bards don't work that way. They're
the monk, because he only dipped once, didn't he?
Yeah, but the monk is just crap, isn't it?
Yes.
No, I don't think he's crap. He does a lot of damage and he's got a good armor class.
Yeah, he's tough.
He does more damage than me and he's got a better armor class than me.
Is he chipping in his share of 280 odd per round between you?
Because
the maths thinks that you should be
he's doing
producing?
as much as Scaly.
So the monk would do that if he would hit more often. The problem with the monk is that his damage is divided up across 4 attacks, and those 4
Scaly's
attacks
doing what, 70, 80?
only have like 50% hit chance.
Maybe.
Scaly did, I think, in the last turn. This is where we left things, by the way. Hello, readers. We'll get back to playing in a minute, but this is interesting to kind of chat through where we are. I think Scaly did, knocking on for 60 points of damage in his last turn.
Right. Paul is notoriously bad at maximising his characters.
But he's running out of spell slots to burn for Divine Smite damage. So I think he was using 2nd level spell slots in that last turn. When he's using 4th, 5th level spell slots, he's doing significantly more damage. The thing about a character with lots of attacks is that it tends to actually normalize the damage out. You get more chances to roll, so you're more likely to flatten out that curve. The problem with the monk is that every hit is 4 points of damage.
Yeah.
More now, but it's somewhere between 12 and 20 points of damage.
Well, why don't we monitor the damage that we do in this combat and see where we get to?
We can have a look at this. Yeah. I just think it's interesting. I've been routinely de-hit pointing monsters ever since about 9th, 10th level.
And we're playing with Ort dice as well.
Well, yeah, but then there's inspiration die and there's hero points and all sorts of other mechanics that cover that.
Are you saying that we're shit? Is that what basically that's what
No, I'm not saying that you're shit. What I'm saying is that I think that the maths is potentially broken because there is a presumption about the makeup of parties.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And probably the magic items they have and the feats and everything that they take that doesn't reflect the real choices that people make when they're playing, which is they want a bit of variety and maybe they want a party where they've got
we do.
a few jacks of all trades.
I think we certainly don't go for the standard classes.
No, because we've been playing so long.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to.
We pick weird things.
Well,
anyway,
the thing is the barbarian. Yeah, I'm just looking up the legacy barbarian. You know, if I just focused on barbarian, he does more damage when I do a critical. But if I'm not doing criticals, which I don't really roll a 20 that often, I'm not going to be doing much more
barbarian
damage.
At some stage, rather do criticals on a 19, 20 and things like that. I thought that was one of the things about the
But you are
do
incredibly tough, though.
I have a lot of hit points. That's it for me.
Weak points, but
I think there's a presumption that there's a fighter in there in all of this maths.
Yes.
By the time you get to a certain point, fighters are getting 3 attacks around and they get action surge.
And they get all their feats. And
then you got rogues. When all the stars aligned and she got that sneak attack roll with all of her feats and so forth against something that was engaged in base-to-base combat, Alessandra could do really serious damage.
One of the assumptions, isn't it, that someone's going to stand at the front, tank away and allow that precision damage to be done.
The monk, you're neither a tank nor a striker. The bard is kind of the old fighter magic user thief.
With a more limited...
I mean, in terms of the classic classes...
choice.
We've got a paladin and a cleric.
But even a paladin is a sort of...
We've got a paladin and 2 clerics.
No.
We've got a paladin and 2 clerics with a few levels of barbarian. That's true.
No,
and the bard also does healing. We're overstocked.
What level
healing.
barbarian are you, Johnny?
I'm more of a barbarian than a cleric. The cleric.
What level barbarian are you?
Yeah, but the concept of the character is I stand and fight. I'm doing the cleric to help my
for heals
fighter. Yes. So I'm a tank, and then I can
but you have more levels in cleric than you do in barbarian.
The higher level barbarian is rubbish. It doesn't do anything. It's not
an observation.
Badly conceived.
I suspect possibly all three of the adjunct fighter classes, the barbarian and the ranger, certainly are underpowered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the ranger is famously rubbish.
Yeah.
Should be doing more damage.
Yeah.
The ranger's good in 5e. The ranger is good. If you pick a Horizon Walker, it's a good class.
Well, there's one scenario in which you can make it good.
But they pulled it apart and put it back together again for the new edition. And the barbarian. Basically, the ranger, the barbarian, and the monk. I think with the three classes, they were like, we've got to fix these classes. They're just not good enough.
I'm enjoying it, but I don't think they got the maths quite right. And I still believe, I get the guy you interviewed's philosophy about Pathfinder. I understand why he's done that, but I don't think the maths works there either. Thinking about the old games we used to play on, 3.5 or second edition, we'd have high-level adventures, and they were still fun.
They were fun.
I was very frustrated as a spellcaster at high level because the monsters get immune to everything. They have magic resistance or something, and I was doing spells at them, and they never did anything.
Well, there's always, I think, a fear that magic users were overpowered.
Well, they were overpowered in the original editions, if you played them.
Very squishy.
I mean, the difference with 3.5 or something is you carry much more magic, and you could one of the constraints, the attunement, means you're quite limited on what
attunement makes
a
big difference at this level.
I think it should scale up as you go up levels. You should have an extra attunement slot every 5 levels or something.
But we're achieving what we set out to do, which is to try and play it to
high level.
Yes,
and I still think
see whether it still works.
Well, it does still work.
Yeah.
I just think that it's interesting in this specific encounter. We're in a situation where you're up against an end of level, almost the end of level boss of the whole thing. And there's a flaw in the expectation about what you're going to be able to output.
Although there is one thing that we haven't done in this, I don't know whether it's like the last 2 books, but we haven't had a situation where we've basically been able to go back and trade up all our magic, because presumably in a campaign with less time constraint in this sense, you'd be able to go and use all the money we've got and buy legendary items, which we don't have because of the waiting time to get them.
Yes, you don't get the chance to optimize that stuff out. Yeah, there's all sorts of things. There's a sort of ideal laboratory version of a party that is used to work out.
If we were in an empty room with a monster without any other environmental factors, yes, maybe. But we're in a narrow corridor with a green, horrible river with other creatures doing stuff, confined spaces, worms everywhere. It's not straightforward.
Not easy, no.
It's meant to be a very difficult encounter. I just think that the thing that's most difficult about it is the maths that's gone into it, is my point.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we're still alive, and we've killed all the other monsters, and now there's just Dragotha left. Actually, there's the guy on the ledge.
Guy on the ledge and a worm.
And there's a worm.
Yeah.
And the worm.
We left things with Paul. Poor old Paul. We've left Paul hanging, and now he'll never know because he's in the garage having his valves. I don't know what they're doing to them.
Drained.
He's being severely pumped by a muscular mechanic. We left him not knowing whether or not the Scaly's very good round last round was enough to put down the worm. Well, I have to tell you now that it wasn't. The worm lives. And on 5, if it is the real Parker, it is Packer.
Can you just remind me, am I still inside the worm?
You are. You have been swallowed.
He escaped, didn't he? And then got re-swallowed or something. I can't remember.
Burple is 10 feet away, and then we've got Parker in the main cavern, and Sessions in the main cavern. Sessions is within the prismatic sphere.
And Dragotha's buggered off again, has he?
The last thing that Dragotha did was vanish. And it is Packer.
Pig goes into a bar.
Oh, is it Comedy
Corner?
Corner?
Goes up to the barman and he goes, I'll have 4 pints of lager, and I'll have 2 pints of Guinness, a couple of ciders, 3 glasses of white wine, and a lager top, please. Barman puts them all out. And over the course of the next hour, the pig downs all of these drinks one after the other. Eventually, he sort of finished the last drink and he gets up and he's a bit wobbly. And the barman goes, do you want me to show you where the loo is? And the pig goes, no, it's all right. I'll just wee all the way home. Oh, I'm so sorry.
What are you going to do, Parker?
Right.
You can hear fighting from a corridor. You can see a giant pile of treasure. I've added that to the map as well, readers.
The dwarf is still there, right?
The diamond-eyed Dwarf of Doom is on the ledge, 30 feet up to your south, being attacked by Sessions's crushing coin.
Question, can I run up this pile of treasure and jump onto the ledge without getting wormed?
No, it's not a 30-foot pile of treasure.
Right. So if I go up and attack him, then I've got to deal with worms afterwards.
Well, would you like some help from your friend guide storyteller DM?
Go on then.
If your journey away from the creature takes you in and out of the prismatic sphere, then the worms are showered off you.
Lovely. Off we go then. So I zip up the escapement.
Isn't an escapement something to do with a
and
watch?
Bosh, bosh, bosh.
But anyway,
you're right. Yeah, no. Escarpment.
Yeah.
That was the word I was looking for.
Oh, dice are being rolled.
Hitting armor class 18.
Here we go, readers. 18's a hit.
15.
15 points of damage.
Hitting armor class 14.
14 is a miss.
Okay, then armor class 18 was a hit.
Is a hit.
That's another
so
13.
A key point for a flurry of blows. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Number
and
18.
Finally, armor
a
class 25 is also a hit. So that's 20 points of damage, and then because
it's dead,
lovely.
It's dead.
Wonderful.
It collapses into
Get rid of the guns.
ebony dust. 2 glittering diamonds are left in a pile of dust at your
And
feet.
then I will zip back down and go and say hello to Sessions, thus washing myself of the...
Re-interact, why don't you pick up the diamonds?
Shout Sessions
What
from inside the
diamonds?
prismatic wall.
I pick up the diamonds.
They've been left behind. I think that's fair to say. On 20. Nothing. On 17, it is burbledy, herbledy, herpish.
Burple will step forward 5 foot and strike that worm creature with the sword of Icosial.
Yes.
Striking, hitting armor class 27.
There's a hit. Big time.
Doing an enormous 8 points of piercing, 3 points of lightning, and I will throw in a point of bardic inspiration, but I'll come back to that. And then I will hit it with the sword of Zosial, armor class 23.
Is a hit. Oh, hello.
Doing another 14.
Yes.
And then I'll hit it again with the sword of Zosial.
Oh.
I'm hasted. Hitting armor class 29.
The sword of Zosial spears through its gaping front zone. It is skewered.
Gaping front zone.
It's a shame about Buggy, who was unfortunately placed at that moment and is no more.
Dead, but not forgotten.
There we go. No need to roll dice and stuff. I think we all know what's happened there.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to, kind of see on the damage.
You can roll the numbers.
On the damage kind of thing. So that would be another 9.
Yeah,
so that's why 11, 20, 34.
You needed to do another 1 at that point. So
yeah, from the old conversation about how much damage we do.
Oh yes, of course.
And then I shall move back into
track.
the treasure room.
Did we keep track of Parker's damage? This is like Legolas and Gimli. I can't work out how much damage
I did 15.
You do that.
And then
you go back through your notes. Just give us the number. It'd just be interesting to know how much is being done.
Hold on, 15.
In the meantime,
27.
Clambering out of the corpse of this worm is Uncle Buggy.
Okay, so are we going to say it's going to take me a round to get out, or an action to get out?
No, it's dead. You can just move out of it. One thing I need to tell you is that where it has burrowed through the wall and been attacking you, you can see an opening. I've put it on the map.
Yes.
It looks like it leads to spaces as yet unexplored.
So it would have been 53, Mike.
53, okay.
I would have done 60.
Yeah, there's no way my character would do anything like that.
Well, it's a cleric.
Barbarian.
What do you want?
Okay, I'm going to move into this space then that it's...
Okay. Let me reveal
5, 10,
what you can see
15,
when you move into that space.
20.
A lot of bright light is flooding in behind you from the prismatic sphere. There is a dim green illumination everywhere, so I can pretty much reveal everything.
Well, I've got my axe radiates light.
You've got 2 chambers that lead off to the west, small chambers. One is about 10 foot by 15 feet, then there's a narrowing, and then it seems to open into another chamber of a sort of equivalent size. The far end of the second chamber, you can see a narrow aperture, no wider than 2 or 3 feet, and from that direction, you can hear the of Dragotha lurking in the dark.
From the tiny little passage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I move 30 there. I'm going to head westwards. 35, 40, 45, 50. Any more? Can I see any more?
You can. As you run into the second of these two small chambers, you can see that chamber actually stretches a little bit further up to the north, and there seems to be a sort of stub end of a passage which looks like it might head back into the main corridor.
You mean a secret door?
You're guessing something's going on that's a bit weird there. It looks like it might be a secret door, yeah.
Okay, so that's 50 to there. I'll go up to that little gap and peer through.
Well, there's Dragotha. You can see these twin green points of flame in its giant eye sockets. You hear,
At last, little one, you have come to be my food.
2 eyes down that tiny little corridor.
2 eyes down the tiny little corridor, precisely.
So he's in that chamber.
Yeah, if that's not come across.
Can I squeeze through into that chamber?
Well, you'd be squeezing, but yeah.
Can you put him on the map so I can...
Is that going to make you feel better?
I could occupy the same square as him, can't I?
Can you attack him? Do you know?
I'll just check hobbits.
I don't know.
Halfling nimbleness. You can move through the space of any creature that is a size larger than yours.
Through. Yeah, I don't think you could coexist.
Right, what should I do? I want to think. I wonder if I could do a spell on him.
Heal him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heal him.
I'll do it.
My lord, I have arrived.
What is your bidding?
I refuse your service. You are too smelly. Even I, master of undeath, must have standards.
I'm not sure what to do. Anybody got any ideas? I could do
It's got like a height chart at the beginning of it.
Do an insect swarm on him.
You don't match up.
I could do a shatter spell. I have to stop raging. Any thoughts?
This is the time, I think, for Buggy just to stand there and start shouting back at the others.
Yeah. Yeah, shout back.
I think you should do that.
Second decision.
How healthful are you?
I'm on 62. Not that healthy.
62 left.
Yeah, out of 226.
I'd run away.
Graham's
I mean, if he does his
voice.
symbol of death or whatever at you, you're dead.
Wise Graham, that's why I took out the gold insurance policy. Well, I'll just move all the way back to where I came from. And, yeah, that's it.
Bugging out. Yeah.
But, hang on. I'll shout to everybody, he's in a small cavern down here.
Good to know.
Good to know. On 16 at sessions.
So I was going to say, who's got less than 100 hit points?
Me. Are you going to do your heal spell?
I've got 107.
I've got 123.
How many can you have?
206 with your aid spell.
165. I'm 42 off maximum.
Okay, so you're not
I'm
really...
180, 160 off.
Scaly is currently 106 off. Sessions is 95 off. You can't see from outside to inside the
The
prismatic...
prismatic sphere, no. So you can see Parker, but you can't see the others, and if you step out so you can see the others, then you can't see Parker.
Mm-hmm.
That is not ideal.
It's free action to dispel the prismatic wall, isn't it?
Probably is, but it's quite handy, isn't it?
Is it?
Don't know.
It's certainly very pretty on the battle map.
Yes,
It's quite nice to be hidden behind it. It doesn't help very much. What are we wanting to do? I mean, Paul wanted to retreat.
I think you should kill it. If you can get me back up to 226 hit points and I'm raging, that's like 452. I'm just going to go in and keep bashing. We know where he's hiding now. I don't think we're quite in a position where we run away.
No.
Okay, maybe if I
still have a teleport.
fly
up my
out of the
sleeve
prismatic wall to a spot
if we need it.
just above the treasure trove,
I've got a wall of force if we need it.
where I can see Bugraft, Scaly, Burple,
Yes, from there you can. Yeah,
and then
the
I'm going
south
to ready
western corner.
to cast Mass Cure, whatever it's called, when Parker comes into sight.
Yeah, very clever.
Good idea. What goes on 13? Is that Dragotha?
Yeah, no, he goes next.
Yeah, you hear sound of rattling bones and movement, and Dragotha comes skeletoning his way back down the passageway from the point where you entered.
So there's a way through there, is there?
Must be, yeah.
He gets to the point where he can see Buggy and Scaly. Roll d6. 2. Okay.
Is that the breath weapon?
Yeah.
1 to 3, Buggy. 4 to 6, Scaly. Buggy. Dragotha speaks a word. at you. That's not a word, is it? It's a one word, like...
Bucket.
Die.
Or die.
Let's talk about your death ward. Can you tell me what it does?
The first time the target would drop to 0 hit points as a result of taking damage, the target instead drops to 1 hit point and the spell ends. If the spell is still in effect when the target is subject to an effect that would kill it instantly without dealing any damage, that effect is instead negated against the target and the spell ends.
Right, you have just been saved by your death ward. Toss it off.
I had it.
There we go, that was very fortunate.
So I'm on, what am I on, 1 hit point then?
It was the second one, so that effect is negated and the spell ends.
Bloody hell, that's a useful spell. I say, yeah, you fucker. Didn't get me, did you?
On 8, it is Scaly O'Toole, who's got...
I got it
Scaly's
open. Who wants to control him?
You do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
no, I don't.
Yes, you do. Yes, you probably do.
Yes, you probably
It's
do.
going to go and bash
He's
it.
going to move up next to Bugraft.
The other side of the river from Bugraft.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I guess he will lay down his
Arms
tags
before Dragotha and go down on one knee and submit.
So he's got the massive chopper of the Mist Marsh,
Servant.
which he gets to attack with twice. 29.
29 is a hit. How much damage?
So he does 1d12 plus 5.
Puny.
It's undead, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I've got to stop being him. Yes.
So
Dragotha is
he does this.
the most undead thing you've ever met.
17 point the damage.
17 point to
17
damage.
point to damage. Okay, well,
hang on.
an enormous difference.
No, then because it's undead, I think he does 2d6 radiant damage. I don't know where the 2 comes from. It says here,
Well,
plus 2d6 radiant damage versus evil outsiders and undead.
so it's 15 points of slashing damage and then roll 2d6.
Right, yeah, that's how it's going to say. So that's another 7.
Yes.
And then what did he say in his note about using his paladin power?
Got 1/4 slot,
To keep
which he's
dimension
been keeping for a
door.
dimension door.
Yeah,
And he's got some firsts and seconds,
He's got 1 second, so we might as well do that now.
which is 2d8 divine smite damage.
Getting us another 11, and that's that attack. So that's
Attack
26,
number 2.
and then attack number 2 is
Oh,
it's
another hit.
28. So I think he does this, ignoring whatever that second number is.
Right, so he does 6 points of slashing damage.
6.
Yes. Well, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, he got 1, and then he does
Yeah.
2d6 radiant damage.
Yeah. Oh,
10.
10
And we'll throw in a first
Hey.
level divine smite, because that's all that's left.
for another d8.
For another 2.
For another 2. Well, I don't know how much damage that was. 50 points or something like that.
bit less, I think.
It's not massively changed things.
And then, does he have this
He has. He's got mobile feet.
mobile feet? So should he reposition himself, do you think?
Yeah, maybe Paul can get up and bash.
Yes.
If he can get that far, I don't know.
Okay.
Did we establish whether he's resistant to fire?
He's immune to fire damage, you think?
Let's
Right.
move him back to where he started, Mike.
Okay, so Scaly moves back to where he started in the corridor, leaving a bit of space, and on 5 it is Parker. By the way, if we were doing damage county, it's not quite a fair experiment. You weren't all attacking it, but that was more like 130? 120,
Right.
130? Something like that?
Yeah. I think that's about our kind of standard level.
I think that probably is, yes. I know that Scaly's done 100 and something points in a round once with...
Critical hits as well.
Yeah, with some critical hits and stuff, exactly. By the way, Buggy, there was some stuff to describe to you about those chambers that you ran into, but they wouldn't have changed your...
Okay, anything I should know
Actions.
now?
Can I have my go?
Well, just give me 2 seconds.
Come on, do it.
Do it!
One of those caverns looked like it was once exquisitely decorated, but it's all fallen into ruin. Fragments of furniture piled into the corners of the room. And the other little chamber was less interesting than the first. Less remnants of whatever was once there. That's it. So it looks like it was occupied. It's not just a natural cavern. Parker.
Right. Well, I will step out of the prismatic wall, and I assume
Okay,
now...
which triggers my readied action.
Which triggers Sessions' readied action.
So that's the mass heal
Mm-hmm.
goes off, and I think probably puts everyone back onto full hit points.
How many hit points do we get?
Yeah, let's not spend ages on the maths.
It was 700 hit points between us.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lovely.
In a very real sense, that's a
Right.
game changer. Parker, on
And
4
then
hit
I will
points.
continue on up to where Scaly was standing previously.
Yeah, so just taking his place.
And I will proceed
Dragotha
to
goes.
hit him.
A large green thing, like a giant recycling bin.
And we'll see how he feels after. Arm class 22.
22 is a miss.
So far, so good.
Then armor class 29.
Ouch.
Yeah,
That's
a hit. 29 to hit.
And
He looks a bit less
I
confident.
haven't done Stunning Strike on him yet, have I?
You haven't tried?
So I
No.
will do Stunning Strike. DC 17. Constitution save.
Constitution save. It's not a spell effect, right? So
Don't think so, no.
Just roll once. Oh, ooh. That with a 5 is not enough. So it chooses to make that saving throw. What about the damage?
Oh, so annoying.
That was 10 points of damage.
10 points of damage.
Right. And now, the unarmed strikes. Armor class 24.
Okay, well, that one counts.
13.
Yes.
And another DC 17 Constitution saving throw.
Oh, hello. This is quite interesting, Parker. Here we go. That is enough. 11 is enough. It saves.
Okay, and the final unarmed strike. Armor class 25.
It's also a hit.
So that's another 9 plus. That's another 23 in total.
Coincidentally, the number of hit points you've done is the same as a bus route I used to use fairly frequently when I lived in Hackney.
And then I will
Got to drop in these little points of interest along the way.
move back.
Okay, he's not looking too happy on 17, hiding as far away as he can from all of the trouble. It is anti-purple.
Anti-purple. Right, I'm
Anti-purple.
casting Protection from Evil on myself.
Yes.
I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
He's not moving,
8.
readers. He's just counting while standing in place.
Moving up corridor towards the dragon, and I'm going to
Yes.
move up to the dragon, and I'm going to hit it with the Sword of Zosiel.
Yes.
Hitting armor class 24
Is a hit.
is a hit,
Who is this
doing...
goggle-eyed creature?
Oof. What's that from?
That's from my bardic inspiration, my
Oh, you Bardic what's it?
Blades of What's It. That's a total of 45.
The Dragotha is
And
looking...
then hit it with the
bear in
sword
mind
of-
that it's a skeleton, but it's looking bloodied.
Hitting on plus 29,
Another hit.
doing a further
How dare you
11.
defy me?
And then I have
Yes.
some move left. I shall
Yes.
move into the little area which has been vacated by the dead worms.
Oh, the area opened up by the worm that Buggy was just in.
Yes.
Okay, on 17, it is Uncle Buggy.
Right. Can I jump onto the dragon?
You're going to try and jump on.
Um,
You're going to have to make an athletics check. DC of 15.
is that my action?
Yes.
Does it look like I might be able to hold on?
If anything, it would be easier to hold on. We're going to use the grapple rules. There's going to be a DC that you have to hit and a DC that Dragotha would have to hit. And I think we probably lower the DC for you. When you held on to the worm drake, that was a very difficult thing to hold on to, with a sort of fleshy, bouncy castle kind of body.
Yeah.
Whereas Dragotha is basically just a giant ladder with wings. So I'm going to say that once you've managed to get a grip, it's going to be easier to hold on. Let me work out the maths later, but it will be possible to do. Yes.
Do I think
There'll be an opposed check each turn.
he can't? Do I think he won't be able to breathe on me? Can he? Does it look like his head?
No,
will be?
you think he will be able to. He's probably articulatable enough to breathe. If you manage to cling onto his head, which would make life more difficult, the DC of the athletics check to target his head specifically and hold on would be higher, and clinging on would be more difficult. But if you were holding onto his head, standing on the back of his neck, holding his bony horns, then he would not be able to breathe on you.
I don't know whether I should try and climb on him or just bash him. What do you reckon, folks?
Bash.
You would lose your advantage on attacks if you were attacking while trying to cling onto him, because you've always got to have one hand.
Okay,
One hand
I'll
for
just
him, one
bash him
hand for
then.
you, yeah.
Taking advantage because I've got rabbit-dubba-dubs. 25.
Here's a hit.
21 points of damage, 8 of which is radiant.
Got it.
Next attack. Come on, I'm going to roll some 20s. 20!
Oh, wow.
Need another 20 now, then I'll get a 7.
Oh, it looked like a 20, but it turned out to be a 2.
Did it? 2. It bounced off the 20 onto a 2, which means that's not a confirmation, but you're doing double damage because it's a critical hit regardless.
Just for the record, my round was complete nonsense. I didn't do the protection from evil because I'm concentrating on haste and its concentration, and I didn't have an action to do it anyway. So
7
I'm going to tuck my head in and go back to sleep.
7 plus 9. Sorry,
it's not the dessert trolley. That's like before you even order.
Isn't it like being sick afterwards? It's like, I did all that stuff and
then... Another 16 points of damage.
Yeah. Sorry.
We're not paying any attention to your round, John. 16 points of damage.
Yeah.
We're trying to come up with analogies for ordering in restaurants.
So I did about 30... So that was about 42 total.
About
42 total.
You can't quite tell.
On 16
Science of exactness,
sessions.
42 points of damage.
Are you moving away, Buggy, or are you staying where you are?
I'm going to move through it to the other side of it.
Okay.
Go over it.
Right. Sessions.
Okay. Session.
Give me a perception check, Buggy.
That's an advantage.
Okay. Whatever.
11.
No. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Sessions on 16.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what I have left.
Oh no, so it's plus 8. Sorry, add 8 to add another 6.
That's enough.
17.
You can easily spot that there is, in fact, in that cavern wall, an obvious area that must open. Where you think you spotted a secret door on the inside of those chambers.
Yeah.
You're now standing where you think that would open out into the main corridor, and you can see that opening. Sorry, Graham, I am interrupted.
Oh, in that case, I might go through it. Sorry if I see that. Interact with an object.
Trolley.
Step through.
Yeah, interact with an object. Yep.
Do I want to do that?
I don't know.
No, sorry. It's a bit dessert trolley. I'm going on the other side of the north side of the stream.
North side of the stream.
Because I think if he breathes down that small passage, he'll get me and Burple. So I'm going on the other side. Sorry, Sessions.
Yeah, sorry. I was just waiting for
Johnny to bloody well get his house in order.
Sorry, it's fast and efficient. So fast.
Yeah.
I'm still efficient though. No?
You're running out of spell slots.
Do you not think?
Non-articulate noises from Graham.
Again.
Yep, okay, I'm going to do... Oh, am I range? Hang on. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to cast Shatter on it.
Yes.
Ooh.
Does it need to make a saving throw?
Max it out. Just thunder damage.
Yeah, I could
Unless you've done that already.
No, I think I still have one turn left. Channel Divinity, but it's quite useful for other things. No, I'm not going to max it out. I'm going to roll, because I'm running out of spells and it might be useful.
Resources, yep.
Yep.
I mean, you're all pretty much tapped out now, right?
It's getting that way that I might actually have to draw the scimitar.
Don't forget the crushing coin, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going to move the crushing coin next. So it's 24 save to half. It's a DC 20
DC what?
Constitution save.
Oh, failed that save. That's a fail. 24 points of damage. It takes that damage.
Then I'll move the crushing...
It's not going to use its legendary
Move the crushing coin, which I can move 20 feet. So I'll start edging
long,
slow.
Journey.
Yeah, I should have moved it last time. I forgot that.
Towards Dragotha. And on 13 it is Dragotha.
Oh, hang on. Can I move?
Oh. Quickly getting in there, sorry.
Yeah, before that, I'll just tuck myself round the corner out of sight.
Gotcha. JJ, gotcha. Rolling a d6 for Dragotha. Getting a 3, okay. Well, Front Guide Storyteller, it's a little bit more complicated than you think. But...
What is?
Well, if you think that... Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Attack of opportunity.
Don't draw too much comfort from... Yeah, attack of opportunity from Buggy as it keeps pushing its way down the... So Dragotha starts pushing further east towards the main cavern.
That's a 30, but I'm going to roll the 1 again, just in case it's...
Because it's
a hobbit.
Yeah, you never know. Could be a 20.
It's not.
Isn't a 20.
So I do...
Roll your damage.
16 points of damage.
16 points of damage. Okay. And it must make a decision.
Where's Sessions gone?
Well, Graham has so artfully hidden his mini that he's actually placed him off the map in the wall. I'm so keen is he to not draw my attention. Quite extraordinary piece of work. Top level shithousery.
Absolute master.
He is the master. If there wasn't a little nameplate under his mini, he would have completely disappeared. Extraordinary work. Right, this creature is going to do exactly...
where is he though? Sorry.
In the wall.
He's hiding in the wall. He's busily hoovering treasure into his bag of holding.
Oh, there.
Is that what you're doing, Graham? Are you hoovering treasure into your bag of holding?
Probably that would be an excellent next thing to do.
When he's got the broom. Right, Dragotha says,
You are a most troublesome swarm of irritants. It is time for some pest control.
and he casts a spell. What is that spell? Is he about to pull out a giant can of Raid? Are you about to get a visit from Rent-A-Kill or Orkin? I think is that what they have in the States. Anyway, well, we're not going to find out. We're going to find out if you're going to end up lying on the floor with your legs curled in the air, where we pick things up next week.
The Billowing Hilltop podcast is a Billowing Hilltop production. Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. Into the Wormcrawl Fisher and Age of Worms are copyright Wizards of the Coast. Into the Wormcrawl Fisher was written by James Jacobs. Music is from Kevin MacLeod and Incompetech.com and is used with thanks under the Creative Commons license. Additional music and sound effects come from the wonderful Sirenscape. All other original material is copyright Billowing Hilltop. Role-playing games are all about getting people together, and we use Roll20 as our tabletop, the perfect place to host your game, and Discord to host our chat. Thanks for listening!